Good morning, students. Can you hear me? Yeah, is my voice clear?
Yes, ma'am, but still it is breaking in between.
Okay, fine. Okay, good morning, students. I guess most of the students they have joined. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But my
Yes, ma'am.
yeah my PPT is not visible right now. I cannot see. I was trying to share my PPT, but it is still. I'll try once again. I don't know why it is not, I'm not able to share my PPTs. Anyways, let's just quickly revise the previous lecture, and if my PPT is not visible, I'll share my screen then, no issues, right? So, in the last lecture, we discussed about the viruses, yes, in general again. So, I'll just quickly go through the, yes, Ayushi, can you just tell me what is the genome of the viruses?
Yes,
Quickly,
ma'am.
quickly, I'll move to next, otherwise, yes.
So the viral genome is the nucleic acid genome, which is mostly RNA and a single stranded DNA.
Okay, fine. Yes. Next question is for next question is for Devanshi. Devanshi, name any one plant virus. Name. Hurry up, Devanshi, quickly. Ishita, question passes on to you. Name any plant virus.
Tobacco mosaic virus.
Tobacco mosaic virus. Okay. Yes, Jhanvi, name the virus which is causing present pandemic.
SARS-CoV-2.
SARS-CoV-2 virus. Yes, good. Yes. So, next question is for. Okay, next question is for Nandini. Can you tell me what are the cytopathic effects which are caused by viruses in humans? No. Yes, Manaswani. What are the cytopathic effects which are caused by viruses in humans?
Ma'am, one effect that I remember is where in the human the structure of the cells can change because the viruses will they'll replicate inside the host cells, right? And once they
Yes,
reach a certain amount, the cells will rupture. So that
yes,
in a way that's a cytopathic effect.
satellite. Okay, fine. Yes, Sahiba, can you tell me what are name any vectors of plant viruses? Sahiba? Sanjana?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Sahiba.
The ma'am, I think so. White flies,
Okay, white flies. And name any vector of a human virus.
mosquitoes,
Which disease it transmit?
ma'am, mosquitoes transfer diseases like uh, plague.
Sanjana Sharma. Yeah, Sanjana, the question for you is how does human viruses spread?
Ma'am, human viruses can spread through vectors, that is mosquitoes, and
Hmm?
an example of it is dengue and malaria. They are spread by mosquitoes. They can also spread by direct contact or through, and they can also be airborne.
Mhm. Okay. Yuvraj, what is difference between pandemic and epidemic?
Ma'am, pandemic is the spread of the virus or
Mm-hmm.
a disease in worldwide globally,
Yes,
whereas epidemic is the spread of a virus or a disease in a particular country or a region.
particular country or a region. Yes, fine, good. And then we have Tridiv. Tridiv, can you name any past pandemic or epidemic that has taken place? Adhish, Vivek,
Yes, ma'am. The Black Plague, Spanish flu.
Spanish
Yes,
flu,
ma'am.
Black
I was gonna
Plague.
say that.
Yes, okay, fine, good. Okay, that was the pandemic. Next question. Okay, coronavirus. I don't want to go right now. Uh, can you can you just name any two important symptoms caused by plant viruses? Namrita Paul, yes. Namrita, any two important symptoms which are caused by plant viruses, or any one symptom? Can you name?
Um, Ma'am,
No. Mottle, mosaic, color breaking, stunting, leaf culling. No. No. Okay, fine. Please study, huh? My next question would be to my next question would be to Yukta. Yukta, what are the diagnoses? How do we diagnose plant viruses? What are Can you name any two important diagnoses? Yukta, can you hear me? No.
Hello.
ma'am, can I answer?
Ye- who is
Hello,
this?
yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Yes, ma'am, we can use PCR.
mm-hmm.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. You can use PCR. Yes, next one. Anyone can give me the another method?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
serological
ELISA.
Ma'am, the
method
ELISA
and
method.
ELISA. Yes.
long
ELISA method, which is called as a serological method, and in the molecular method, we are mostly focused with the PCR or a polymerase chain reaction that we use. So, I'm not sure if you have studied how to do PCR in your any of the instrumentation. Have you studied these techniques like ELISA and a PCR in any of the previous courses? Yes, Manaswani.
Yes, ma'am.
You have
Yes,
studied,
ma'am.
right? So that is fine. See, I'll be studying these, I'll be teaching you these techniques again from the identification of the point of view of the viruses, that what we need, how we design primers, and then how we go for a PCR. And if we don't know about any, we are working for any unknown viruses, then how we design primers because we don't know the virus. right? So in those cases also how we proceed we'll discuss. And ELISA, definitely there are different types of ELISA which is being used in plant viruses and human viruses also, right? So we'll be discussing those ELISA types also in the practical classes, right? So I'll continue. Maybe my PPT is not visible, so I'll share my screen. Please let me know if my screen is visible or not.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, Nehal, please go
Ma'am,
for
in
it.
the previous class, you have talked about positive sense and negative sense when you are explaining viruses. Can you explain?
Yes. Yes, why not? See, we were talking about the genome of the viruses, right? When we talk about the genome of the viruses, they were like positive sense RNA viruses, and then there are negative sense RNA viruses, right? So, positive, see, most of the viruses RNA genome, they have with a single strand DNA genome, right? Then single stranded genomes are either positive sense, or which is called a plus strand also, or a negative sense, which is called a minus strand. So this actually depend upon the whether they are complementary to the viral messenger RNA or not. So जो positive sense viral RNA होता है, it is in the same sense as the viral mRNA. So what happens in this case, at least it can be immediately translated by the host cell, जो positive sense है. But then there is a problem in the negative sense. The negative sense viral RNA is complementary to the messenger RNA, right? So these must be first converted to the positive sense by using RNA-dependent RNA polymerase before the translation takes place. So translation can only take place if they are in a positive sense. In a negative sense, that directly they cannot be translated as such, right? So this is how they work. In case of a negative sense, they need to first convert it into the positive sense, and the positive sense, since they are in the same as the viral mRNA, messenger RNA, so we don't need to convert them into the positive sense, right? So this is the major and the only difference here.
How can we convert the positive sense into, sorry, the negative?
They themselves convert. They use the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, host RNA-dependent RNA polymerase to do that.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So I'll be sharing my screen somehow. I don't know what is the problem today. It's the network issue or other problem that I'm not able to share my PPT, right? Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay, fine. Good. So you all can mute yourself and you can just stop me wherever you don't understand. And then you think that because I cannot see you all now. I'm focusing on my screen. I'm sharing my screen. So in that case also, if you feel that my voice is not audible, please switch on your mic and tell me, right? So today we are going to discuss about the brief history about the plant viruses. So it's see, viruses, when we'll discuss about the origin of the viruses, you'll know they are, since the molecules were discovered, they are there since ages there, right? But they were not identified. The identification was done much later, right? Bacteria or bacterial diseases were identified earlier. They were identified much earlier than the viral diseases. So when some kind of a symptoms were seen in the plants also, they were also thought to be of a bacterial diseases. Because they knew about the viruses at that time, but then something happened and some experiments were done, and then people came to know that no, this is not a bacteria, and this has to be something different. And then how the terms were coined, how they coined the term viruses, and how they studied the symptoms. And I'll discuss about how viruses were, even that there is a mention of viruses, even the poems of some people in the as early as 750 or some those EDs or some era. So those poems, they have some symptoms mentioned there, and when in the later stages these were identified, they came to be some viral diseases, right? So if we talk about the history, plant virus history, so like I told you, in 752 BC there was a reference in a poem. There was one of the Japanese empress, her name was Koken, in which she described the yellow leaf symptom in a eupatorium plant. So I'll just go, yes, this. So this was the earliest known record in the form of a poem about a plant virus. So in this poem, this is just a paragraph here, it is mentioned that in this village, it looks as if frosting continuously. For the plant I saw in the field of summer, the color of the leaves were yellowing. So in a poem, someone, that empress, she's mentioning about the yellowing of the leaves of the color, though it is still summer and it is not the fall season yet. So later in 1985, right, in around in 1985, it was identified, virus was identified to be tobacco yellow leaf bulb virus by Osaki, was a person that who identified this virus. So mention was so early, but still, I mean, people did not knew about the viruses. Another important, there's a story, or there's a one important aspect about tulip mania, or tulipomania. This was in the 17th century. At that time, the tulips were grown by the people, and the tulips had only single color, like they used to be either pink or red or just single color. They were not variegated, or they were not any stripes, any kind of a stripes present on the those kind of a tulips. But then in that period, that was called a Dutch golden age also. So they found some of the tulips which were showing breaking color, the color breaking in the petals of the tulip plant. So I mean, at that time, definitely they did not knew what is this, but it was such an extraordinary thing for those people that these tulips were very prized. I mean, they were sold so costly. Maybe lot of goods were exchanged for just one bulb of this tulip. So that century was, people were obsessed for getting these kind of a tulip. So it was called as a Dutch tulip mania. Then later it was identified the tulip breaking virus, which is a potty virus, is the causal, or it was the cause, basically due to the virus infection in that plant, that it was causing a variegation in the petal. So that was also one important point from the, this is like tulipomania in the Western Europe. So the goods were exchanged for one bulb of Viceroy tulip, which with the 4 tons of a wheat and 4 barrels of a beer, 8 tons of a rye, and 2 barrels of a butter. So it was so much prized thing for someone to have at that time. So this was again later found that it is caused by the due to the virus infection, right? Then 1882 and 1886, actual era of a plant virology, it started coming out, and 1886 was the Adolf Mayer who studied the sap from tobacco. Basically, they found some kind of symptoms on the tobacco plant, and they was trying to study that sap, that it is caused by some kind of a bacterial disease. But then yeah, when then the later it was found, what at that time they were having a porcelain filters, Chamberlain porcelain filters, which were used to filter the water, and those filters were designed in such a way that they can retain the bacteria. So when this tobacco was caused, there was some kind of a disease on the tobacco plant, and when they were taking the infectious sap from the tobacco and they were passing it through the porcelain filter, that Chamberlain filter, and the supernatant which was coming, and when they were using that supernatant to inoculate the further that tobacco plant, they were getting the symptoms. So that gave them the clue that this is not bacteria, because if it would have been bacteria, oh, it could have been retained by the porcelain filter that they were using. So then they get an idea that this is something which is not bacteria. Then Yvonne Soki, he studied sap retained infectivity even after filtration through Chamberlain porcelain filter. So they doubted it's some kind of a tox. Then also they did not thought that it is a bacteria virus, because it was not discovered as yet. They thought maybe there is some kind of a toxin which is produced by the bacterium, and it is the cause. So this is about the Chamberlain filter. Then later it was found, the agent was found to be virus, and it was named as a Contagium vivum fluidum. So Bejanik was the person basically who established the cause of tobacco mosaic disease, and it named it as a contagium. Contagium means it is contagious, that it can cause infection to the other plant. Vivum means some kind of a toxic. Fluid means fluid. So this was the first time when vivum word was used for the virus here, right? Then during 1980s, then again the major advances were made on the improved method of diagnosis of the virus diseases. Then Clark and Adam in 1977 gave the ELISA technique. It was the first time that ELISA was used for the identification of the many plant viruses. Then 1971, there were other virus-like pathogens such as viroid was identified. Diner gave the term. Then in 1983, Kerry Mullis discovered the PCR, and then that's how the PCR was being used for the viral detection also. Then another viral-like pathogen which are called as a prions, right? Prusner, he discovered the term prions and he got a Nobel Prize for that discovery. So 1970s and 1980s, there was like use of more of serological techniques and molecular biological techniques for the viral diagnosis method. And when these techniques were available, then more and more new viruses were discovered at that time, because earlier there were certain classical methods, or they were just trying to identify virus some based on some biological studies which were done, right? So if we talk about another pathogen which is like virus but it is not virus, it is a viroid. It is virus like pathogen which do not have any core protein. They are very small. 550 bases is the largest virus, viroid. They infect only plants, and the viroids, they do not encode for any proteins. Like viruses, they encode for a coat protein, they encode for a movement protein, they encode for a helicase protein. The viroids, they do not code for any protein. It's very small. They are again very small circular RNA molecules which do not have any, and they have just RNA as a genome. They don't have even DNA also. So they lack a protein coat, and so they are termed as subviruses, which are composed of a single circular RNA which codes for a single protein, only one single. The spindle tuber disease of potato was first described by Martin in 1922. It was the first to be discovered. So when they saw the leaves were very small and narrower than the usual leaves, so tubers, they were also of a different size. Here you can see these are the symptoms which are caused by viroids in the potato and even apple also, apple scar skin virus. So viroids, again, they are the pathogens which impact only plants. There are many viroids which are being discovered. Viroids, they just have two families, not more than that, and in two families around 17 to 18 genera are there which infect the plants. Again, viroids do not infect humans. They are only found in the plants, right? So these are again subviral pathogens we are talking. Then we have prions. I'm sure you all must have heard of a mad cow disease, right? At one time in the Europe, most of the cows, they were affected by this disease, and they were left with no option other than to kill the cows. Now what is prion? They are nothing but they are the misfolded form of a proteins, basically. Nothing. We don't have much of information about the prions. It is just that they are the misfolded form of the proteins which are found in the brain of the people who are affected by this kind of a protein. But how this crosses the blood-brain barrier is still a questionable thing here, that how it is going to the brain, how it is going reaching there. So we don't know yet. The word prion was coined by Stanley B. Prusner, and it is derived from the word protein and infection. That means infection due to the protein. Usually all prion diseases, they affect the structure of the brain and the neural tissues and are untreatable and universally fatal. We have sheep, they have a scrapie disease. Cows, they have a mad cow disease. Humans also suffer from this disease. They are like insomnia, like they cannot sleep, or a laughing disease or a kuru disease. These all are caused by the prions in the human, right? So this is not a part of your course, but still I want, since when we study about the virus as pathogens, we study about the other subviral agents also which are pathogens. So that is why we study the viroids also, we study the prions also, right? So this you all know that how they are being transmitted. Plant viruses transmitted through vectors, they infect the host plants. Mechanical transmission through cuts and the wounds is very common in the plant virus. agriculture equipments. For example, in some trees or perennial crops, we do pruning, right? When the season ends and the new season will begin, so before that pruning is done so that the more of branches grow. So if we do that pruning and we use the same shetiyars or scissor to do that, or same kind of equipment, so if virus, if it is present in a one tree and that same equipment or a shetyar or a scissor is used for the another tree, the viruses can transmit. So this is how it is being transmitted through that. Then humans, yes, we as a human through our hands, or when we move within the plants, if they have certain kind of a wound, so we can carry the pathogen from one plant to the other also, knowingly or unknowingly. And another important way that humans transmit is the use of infected seeds. For example, I have a cucumber mosaic infected particular plant. So similar cucumber mosaic virus mainly affects the Cucurbitaceae family. So cucumber seeds, if the similar cucumber seeds I'm using for growing in the next season, so those are infected with the pathogen and virus will get transmitted. So this is by me. This is due to the human errors that we are doing it unknowingly, right? Identification, I've told you earlier, diagnosis, symptoms, serological, molecular, it is all for which is being done, right? Then examples of viruses, if we talk about plant viruses, they are numerous: tomato leaf curl virus, cotton leaf curl virus. So if after studying this course, if anyone asks you about the plant viruses, you should be able to name other than the tobacco mosaic virus, because tobacco mosaic virus is one classical example which is being commonly used, but we should know other than that, right? So number of viruses are there, right? Then this also we have discussed, that how the symptoms and the signs. I've told you earlier also, symptoms are the external visible changes in the plant which are visible to our eyes, right? Then symptoms are like macroscopic, which we can see. Then another symptoms are histological symptoms. What happens when viruses infect plants also? They form certain kind of inclusion bodies in the plant. So those inclusion bodies can be seen under the microscope. And when we see certain inclusion bodies, such as pinwheel inclusion bodies in the potyviruses or some other kinds, so we can know that there is a virus infection. So symptoms, histological also, they are caused by the viruses, and visual also. Visual: mosaic, necrosis, leaf curl, spots, stunting, these all are visual to our eyes. And if we visit any field, we can see the symptoms and we can say that, okay, this might be that. Another important thing here is that when we talk about the symptoms, see, in the field, there is sometimes what happens due to the nutrient deficiency, maybe the like nitrogen, magnesium, or other kind of a nutrient deficiency also, the plants show yellowing of the leaves. So they'll show yellowing of the leaves, or they'll show some kind of a mosaic or necrosis pattern on the leaves. So the question is that how do we identify whether these symptoms are due to the virus infection, or these symptoms are due to the deficiency or some kind of a nutrient deficiency? So can anyone just give a wild guess that how we can differentiate, how virus symptoms could be different from the symptoms which are caused by the nutrient deficiency? Yes, can anyone guess here this thing? Anyone? Manaswani?
Ma'am, my best guess is that it would probably be easier to identify the nutrient deficiency symptoms, because I mean, if you just give extra nutrients to the plants, then it will be fine. I mean,
but just you're going to the field and you are just checking out the symptoms. You see some kind of a okay, I'll give you a hint. There's one field, right? There's one field where the most of the plants are showing yellow leaves or maybe necrotic spots, and then there's another field where only few plants are showing mosaic, like yellow leaves, but rest are fine. So which one should be the nutrient deficiency and which one should be the virus symptom?
ma'am, I'm not sure.
See, students, see, it's very simple. Nutrient deficiency पूरे field में होगा ना जब होगा. So that means the whole field, whole maximum number of the plants should show the yellowing of the leaves in a similar kind of a pattern. Whereas if it is a virus infected, so definitely you will not see the virus infection in the whole field. Maybe one plant, maybe two plant, maybe 3, 4, 5, not more than that. So this is how, if there will be a nutrient deficiency, it will be equally seen in the most of the plants, 90% of the plant, right? But if there is a virus infection, it will be only seen in the patches, maybe one plant, two plant, three plant, or maybe 2, 3 leaves in one plant, not as a whole plant. So this is the major difference when we try to differentiate between the nutrient deficiency and the viral symptom, right? Okay, fine. So another thing, when we talk about the, see, why we are studying about the viruses, at the end, the major aim is the management of the viruses. This is the aim, whether it's a plant virus, whether it's a human virus. Human virus, we work towards the management and then eradication. In plant virus also, the main aim of identifying a virus is the management, that how now this there's a cotton leaf curl virus which is infecting a cotton field and it is destroying the whole crop. Now what next? We have identified the virus. The next step would be the management, that now what can be done to manage that particular virus, how we can manage the virus. As I told you, in case of a plant viruses, the management is not possible if the virus has established in the field. Nothing can be done. The only thing is you destroy the field, you get a new field, new place, you leave that field also for some time, and then you grow your crops, right? The another important thing is the use of a clean seeds and the planting material. So these days there are certified labs, or we call them as a referral labs. Basically, these are funded by the Department of Biotechnology, and these labs, the people, they take their samples there. Usually the companies, seed companies, they'll send their samples to these labs. These labs will do certain kind of a serological and a PCR testing, and they'll then certify that this material is free from any kind of a pathogen. So it is recommended that the use of a clean seed and a planting material. Another method is the meristem tip culture, which is a plant tissue culture method. The meristem tip culture is a very highly activated zone in the plant. Lot of hormones, lot of oxygen is there. Cells are multiplying at a very fast rate. So they say when the plant cells are multiplying at a very fast rate in that, at that tip, basically, because the growing part. So virus don't get chance, or any pathogen don't get chance to multiply at that particular time. So what can be done? We just take a meristem tip from any shoot or any plant, and we grow it through a plant tissue culture method, and then the plant which will be developed from that tissue culture method will be free from any kind of a pathogen. So that can be grown in the field further. This is another important thing. Then is the virus resistant plant. Virus resistant plants have been developed by using pathogen derived resistance, or by identifying certain, see what happens, every variety that we are cultivating right now, they have some wild varieties in the somewhere, right, where they are untouched. Always we have, right, जैसे आप स्पिनिक की बात करें, एक स्पिनिक होता है जो कल्टीवेबल होता है, एक को हम कहते हैं दिस इज वाइल्ड जंगली स्पिनिक है, इसको वी डोंट ईट दिस, बट द रूट दोनों की सेम है. जेनेटिक वो जो हमारा जो द प्लांट दैट वी आर यूजिंग, इट इज बीन अंडर कल्टिवेशन फ्रॉम सच अ लॉन्ग टाइम, सो इट हैज बीन चेंज्ड, बट द its wild relative is present there in the wild, which is growing as such. So sometimes what happens, those wild plants are resistant to the pathogen. They have certain genes in them which are resistant, due to which they are resistant to the pathogen. So virus resistant plants can be developed by using breeding techniques. There's a classical methods of a plant breeding which can be done. You breed the variety that we have, we want to develop virus resistant with the wild relative, right? So in that way we'll get a variety which we can develop a variety which could be resistant to the pathogen, but then we'll get other changes also, because the classical way of a breeding, you get the other we don't know what genes, other characters we can get in a classical method of a breeding. But if we go for a transgenic method, right, if we develop virus resistant plant using transgenic, so in that we know which gene we need to transfer, right? We'll just pick that gene, we'll introduce that gene in the plant, there will be plant transformations, and just one change, virus resistant plant will be developed. So that's why transgenic method of developing a resistant plants are more good, are more easy, and definitely they take less time as compared to the classical methods of a breeding, where plants are bred, then there's a F1 generation, then there's a F2 generation, then there are back crosses, so it is a long process that can be done, right? Then we have control of vectors. Since we know that all plant viruses, mostly plant viruses, they are transmitted by the vectors. Yes, there are some viruses where vectors are not known, so they are transmitted by maybe this we do the that propagative methods, like you cut the plants and you use those planting material for other grafting technique, right? So that can be done, but otherwise most of the viruses are transmitted by the vectors. So if we can manage the vector, then virus transmission can be prevented, because then जो infected plant है, those will be only the infected plants. So from those infected plant, virus will not be transmitted to the other plants. Another important thing is the control of the weeds or removal of the weeds. So weeds are the unwanted plants that we find in the fields, like wherever we grow crops, the weeds are there. So that's why usually what these growers do after certain time, they do weeding. They try to remove those weed plants by plucking by hands, but they are large in number. So sometimes and many times it happens that weeds act as a reservoir host of the many viruses. So when the crop is not there, they'll be there on the wheat plant. As soon as you'll grow crop in the field, from the wheat plant through vector, they'll be get transmitted to the your crops also. So we need to look for that also, right? Then if we talk about that why we need to study viruses, so you need to see this. This is taken from one of the paper where they have given the losses. So in cassava crop in Africa, India and Sri Lanka, there are around 25 million ton crop losses per year, which is caused by cassava mosaic pegmoviruses. I told you there was a cassava mosaic which at one particular stage they totally reduced or they destroyed the cassava crop, and there was a famine like condition in South African countries also, right? Then US potato, there is a $100 million losses, crop losses by viruses, which is caused by potato leaf roll poliovirus. These are the plant viruses. Again UK also $30 to 50 million losses. Then in UK, barley, oats, rice, 13.93 million by barley yellow dwarf virus. Then in Southeast Asia, in rice, there's a number of rice dwarf viruses there. The rice tungro viruses, there's a lot of losses. Then there's a cocoa tree where the losses of around 200 million trees are lost due to the cocoa solan shoot virus. Then citrus trees, citrus disease virus, lot of losses are caused by these viruses. So that is why we need to study. This is again, this is about India basically. So this was a paper from the Indranil Das Gupta and his group in 2003, where he just mentioned about the losses or yield losses which are caused by different viruses in India. So in cassava, there is mosaic 18 to 25, Indian cassava mosaic virus here, so Begmo virus group. Cotton leaf curl 68 to 71% yield lost. Cotton leaf curl virus, again Begmo virus. Begmo virus is a DNA virus, and rest other viruses are the RNA viruses here. Groundnut is a bud necrosis which caused like more than 80% losses. Groundnut bud necrosis virus, it's a tosco virus. Then moonbeam yellow mosaic, in a moonbeam, black gram and soybean, there's a yellow mosaic disease which is caused by moonbeam yellow mosaic virus, which is again a Begmo virus. Pigeon pea, there is a pigeon pea sterility mosaic, more than 80%. Pigeon pea sterility mosaic. Potato rice mosaic, rice tungro, as I told you, sunflower necrosis, tomato leaf curl pigment. So that is why to study these viruses it is important, and then not only to study, we need to develop some kind of a management methods also. Once these viruses are identified, then we need to see that how we can reduce the losses which are caused by these viruses, how we can go for that, and how we can minimize the losses which are caused by these viruses. So this is why we need to manage these viruses, right? So I'll come back to this. So this was all for today's lecture, and there's one small assignment question for you. You guys quickly do that and come back, and then we can go for the further. There's one single question in the assignment. Do in your Word file and submit it right now within 5 minutes. I've assigned it. I'm sure it should be visible to you.
No, ma'am, it's not.
Ma'am, not yet.
It will be. It is showing
Now,
you.
now it is.
Quickly in 5 minutes. It's 11:55. 12. I want your answers submitted. Quickly go. Is it done?
Ma'am,
Yes,
we're
ma'am,
just
I'm just
submitting it.
uploading it.
Yeah, please submit, please submit. And if you have any queries or anything for today's lecture, please you can shoot your questions also. Sorry, mic. Okay, in the meanwhile, please students switch on your cameras also for attendance. Adhish? Athoiba?
Present, ma'am.
Okay. Please switch on your cameras also. Yes, Athoiba, I can see you. Adhish, your camera is not on. Ayushi Jain?
Present, ma'am.
Yes, Adhish, I can see you. Okay, Ayush के बाद है Sam Daniel?
Present, ma'am.
Yes, Sam, I can see you. Devanshi? Ishita Arora? Janvi Singh?
Present, ma'am. Present,
Yes,
ma'am.
Ishita and Janvi. Okay, fine. Kshitij Singh? Manaswani? Yes, I can see you. Namrita Pal?
Present, ma'am.
Yes, Kshitij, I can see you. Namrita Pal? Yes. Namrita, are you there? Yes, Namrita.
Present.
Then we have a Nandini Raj. Yes, Nandini, I can see you. Nehal Joshi?
Present, ma'am.
Nehal, yes, Nehal, are you there? Rupal? Yes, Rupal is there. Sahiba? Yes, Sahiba, where is Sahiba? Sanjana is there. Sahiba
Present,
is
ma'am.
there. Yes, Sahiba, I can see you. Shakti? Shakti, can you hear me?
Present, ma'am.
Shakti, yeah, Shakti. Shivani? Tanvi? Shivani, Tanvi, Tridev? Yes,
Present,
Shakti, I
ma'am.
can see
Present,
you.
ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Shivani, Tridev, I can
Present,
see
ma'am.
you. Shivani, I can see you. Then we have Vivek. Yes, Vivek, I can see
Present,
you.
ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes,
also,
Vivek.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to say, Devanshi just messaged me saying her MS Teams is not supporting. So
Okay,
that's why
fine.
she's
Ask
not
her
able
to
to
write an
join.
email to me so that I can take it further, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, Yukta, Yuvraj.
Present, ma'am.
Yes. So we have all the 23 students. No, we don't have one student. There are 22 and should be 23. Ishita or no, Ishita is there. Vanshika is not there, right? Yes, Vanshika is not there. I don't see Vanshika. Ishita is there. Have you all submitted your files? Let me check.
Yes, ma'am.
अधीश मुझे आपकी फाइल तो दिख नहीं रही है.
Ma'am, just uploading.
अब तो थोएबा की भी नहीं दिख रही है. आयुषी की भी नहीं दिख रही है. सैम की भी नहीं दिख रही है.
Ma'am, Devanshi
क्षितिज
is
आप
not
तो
able to submit because her MS Teams is not working.
ask her to mail me.
Yes, ma'am, I just messaged her.
या क्षितिज आप तो टर्न्ड इन भी नहीं दिखा रहे हो बेटा.
क्या मैम?
आपने सबमिट किया फाइल क्षितिज?
मैम नो मैम.
Why
मैं आज
no,
कर
क्षितिज?
मैम.
हाँ? Why?
मैम
What happened?
मैम आज कर दूंगा मैम. ये आज से कर दूंगा.
आज बेटा ये आपकी असेसमेंट मैंने इसलिए 5 मिनट दिए कि आपको अभी करनी है. इसके बाद में करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है. उसके पॉइंट्स नहीं होंगे फिर आपके. You need to do itself in the class. Okay, all of you please submit it, right? You see, these are the internal assessments and they carry some kind of a points at the end. तो ये मत सोचो कि इसके कोई points नहीं है. They are all in my folder, and at the end I'm checking also who is submitting, who is not, and at the end there will be some points for the class. How you were, how attentive you are in the class. Basically, it's for the class discussion kind of a thing, right? So please make sure that you do everything, right? Okay, students. So I'll stop here, and I'll see you tomorrow in the class with the plant. Tomorrow we'll study the human viruses, introduction, human virus history, and we'll take it further, right? Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.